Recently, a glitch was found in Metroid Dread to clip through thin floors. It's a bit complicated, so I'll link another video that goes into it in more depth. But basically, by using a flash shift, a stored shine spark, and grapple, you can clip through the ground. One cool use for this clipping glitch is stealing the Omega Cannon from the Emmy Zone in Gavoran. After getting the Omega Cannon, you can do a shine clip through the floor and appear in the room right below. This area is different from the normal area you fight the Emmy, so from here all you have to do is go right and leave. One interesting quirk about using the Omega Cannon outside of the Emmy Zone is that when you aim it, you'll always be pointing towards the central unit. So here, if I try to point right and use it, it'll just instantly make me face left, because that's the direction of the central unit. If you leave Gavoran, which you do keep the Omega Cannon when you leave Gavoran, then this will stop happening. And the Omega Cannon, it does persist through leaving the area, it does persist through saves. The only thing that makes you lose the Omega Cannon is actually killing an Emmy. One pretty cool thing that the Omega Cannon can do is it can actually destroy Enkis. So these big plants that are on fire that you're supposed to destroy with ice missiles actually just get destroyed with Omega Cannon too. I mentioned how you'll always be facing the central unit room with this. So you can actually fire a single shot off in the opposite direction by facing towards the central unit room, using L to aim behind you, jumping, and then shooting as you land, which you can use to destroy Enkis to your right. If you try to counter while having the Omega Cannon, it doesn't quite work properly. When you try to counter, it always goes into aiming mode, and you can't really use regular beam during aiming mode when you have the Omega Cannon. There's an interesting glitch that happens if you go back into the Emmy Zone from this entrance. So this isn't an area you're supposed to be in when doing the Omega Cannon encounter with the Emmy. And so when you do this, the Emmy just kind of doesn't attack you, he just kind of goes through you. And also when he gets to the end here, he acts kind of silly, just kind of sits around and does nothing. You can still destroy his face shield, and you can also kill him afterwards. So you can destroy the Emmy, but the Emmy can't hurt you until after you break the face shield. So you can take the Omega Cannon to the Ferenia Emmy Zone and try to use it on the purple Emmy, but without triggering the Omega Cannon sequence properly, the Emmy won't slow down when you're shooting its face, so it'll still run at you at full speed. It is still possible to break the face shield, but even if you can get that, which is much harder than usual, the charged shot just won't kill the Emmy, so you have to get the Omega Cannon from Ferenia normally. After killing the purple Emmy and getting Wave Beam, you'll lose the Omega Cannon like normal, but if you go back to Gavoran, you'll instantly get the Omega Cannon back. So you're probably wondering how good the Omega Cannon is damage-wise. So both the Omega Stream and the Charge Shot both do 100 damage, although the Charge Shot takes a very long time to charge up and the Omega Stream fires once every 4 frames. That gives you about 1500 damage per second, which may sound good, but if you compare it to Plasma Beam and Wave Beam, Plasma Beam does 150 damage per shot. That's assuming you get all 3 hits. And Wave Beam does 240 damage per shot. And really fast mashers can mash 15 hertz or better. And even if your mashing isn't that good, you can probably still easily surpass the damage output of Omega Cannon just with decent mashing on both Plasma and Wave Beam. So really, the Omega Cannon's damage output isn't that great. It's not bad, but it's not great. There are some cases where the Omega Cannon is pretty good though. If you shoot the core X's and don't miss any shots, you can kill it really quickly. So if you miss it all, the core X will get invincibility and you'll have to wait out the invincibility. One other place the Omega Stream can actually be good for is actually the Ravenbeak fight. So phase 1 it won't really do much because phase 1 is almost entirely based on counter damage, which you can't use the Omega Stream during. But for phase 2 and 3, he has reduced damage from regular beams, and it seems like he doesn't take reduced damage from the Omega Cannon. It's hard to say if the Omega Cannon here is faster or not than the missile strat. Missiles are probably still better here, but I think the Omega Cannon strat is probably easier, especially if you're in like a low percent setting where you don't have many missiles. This probably makes the fight much easier. I'll just let the rest of the fight play out here since I'm sure a lot of people are interested in seeing it. Also, the Omega Stream is really good against both the Black Hole attack and the Sun attack. And then here at the end of the escape sequence, you still have the Omega Cannon, both that and the Hyper Beam at the same time. There's a potentially pretty big sequence break we can almost do if we can find a way to steal a different Omega Cannon. In Cataris, there's a teleporter that goes to Gavoron that you can access as early as just after getting Variasuit, but if you try to go there that early, you're blocked off by a closed door on the left side, and if you try to go right and down, there's an Enki there. There is a little Morph Ball hole, but you can only get there with a Shine Spark, and you have no room to charge a Shine Spark here. So getting to this area early is really only to get Scan Pulse early, otherwise you can't really do anything here. If we could steal a different Omega Cannon outside of Gavoron, then we could actually warp here early and use the Omega Cannon to get past this Enki, and get to the late Gavoron area very early on. The one Omega Cannon with the most likely chance of being able to be stolen is actually the first Omega Cannon. So early in the game, we do a glitch to shoot through ceilings, which allows us to skip the tutorial Emmy in the first Omega Cannon. If we can go back there later on and steal it, then we could potentially take that to Gavoron early on and do this pretty big sequence break.